Most people would think that $2,800 per square feet is expensive. I actually think that it is going to be one of the cheapest new launches in 2026. Let me prove it to you with some math. I know there will still be people saying, this plot sure still oversupply, nobody want to buy lah. Hi everyone, my name is William from Own This Property and a Happy New Year to you. For the past 2 weeks of the new year, I've been tirelessly working on this guide, the only one that you'll need in 2026. This is kind of our yearly tradition here at Own This Property, also my 50秘籍, where I'll go through every single new launch happening in 2026, what I like and don't like about them, their pros and cons, and then rate them objectively, no filter, no bias, so you will know exactly what to look out for in 2026. This is the ultimate guide to new launches 2026 edition. Because there are so many launches happening each year, this video will cover launches in a chronological order, and this is part 1 of the series where I'll be covering everything launching from now all the way to about the 3rd quarter of 2026. These are most likely going to be confirmed launching this year. And then in part 2 of the series, I will be going through launches around the end of the year, and probably some of them might also trickle into 2027. And then for each project, I'll be sharing with you what I like and don't like based on 4 key factors. The first is looking at the quality factors, followed by location factors, the upside potential factors, and finally, the exit strategy. These are factors that we know and can analyze today, so prices have been left out of this analysis because most of them have not been released yet. And with all these factors taken into consideration, we will then rank these developments from S being the best to C being the worst. And while we don't know the exact prices of each properties yet, I spent the past few days crunching these numbers and creating this chart. This is basically my very educated guess of where I think the developers would probably launch the prices at. If you would like a copy of my ultimate guide to new launches along with their price estimates, fill up the Google form in the link below and I'll be happy to share them with you. As you can see, this is my current DIY setup. I do everything myself, from the lighting to the filming to the editing. So in order to motivate me to continue racking my brains and coming up with truly insightful content, I will really appreciate your help. My goal in 2026 is to grow the Own This Property channel, but right now over 87% of the viewers are not yet subscribed. So my goal is to get that down to 60%. If you found any value in the content I've created so far, could you please do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button. It will help me more than you can imagine. And to start off the year, we have an EC. This is Coastal Cabana at Parcel, and it's actually already launching as I'm recording this video. You can check out the starting from prices that I've left in the screen over here. This is developed by Qingjian NZACD, and you realize that this plot is directly next to your downtown east. What I really like is, of course, the large size. You have about 710 units. While the location is not fantastic, there's no MRT that is in walking distance, and there's also no good school. But you do get really nice sea views for certain stacks, and ultimately, Parcel is going to be kind of like a transport hub. The resale performance in the area has been strong, and it has also been about 10 years since a last EC was launched in this area. So all in all, I think we have a lot of positives, but because of the HDB upgraders in the +area, they might actually prefer options that are closer to the MRT. This might not be their #1 resale choice in the future, and I rate Coastal Cabana a B+. And to the first OCR condo, and previews are expected to start on the 17th of January. This is Narra Residences at Dairy Farm Walk. Because this is a very broad-based video, I won't be taking the time to deep dive into each single project. If you like a more tailored analysis on whether Narra Residences is suitable for you, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to share more with you. Narra Residences is a 540 units development, good size, and it is developed by Santarli and Apex Asia. And if you know the location, of course, it's going to be near MRT, but what's the biggest draw? We do have some guide prices already from the developer, and I have to say that they are attractive. Because if we reference the next door neighbors, these are your Dairy Farm Residences and then Botany at Dairy Farm. They have already transacted on average at about $1,800 to $2,000 per square feet. And mind you, these two properties are not harmonized. So I've also seen the layouts at Narra, and I do think that they would stand apart from the competition in the area, especially if you're looking for the larger size units. However, as mentioned, the location might not be for everyone because there's no MRT. So this is more geared towards own stay, nature lovers, and there are also more government land sale plots coming up, which might also drive the demand in the area in the future. However, this is also kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because it is also future competition. So all in all, I do rate Narra Residences just a C rank. Next is the most anticipated project in the literal sense because we have been anticipating it for over 2 years. This is Newport Residences by CDL, and they were previously delayed by the ABSD hikes back in 2023 April. But finally now, in the middle of January, previews are now confirmed. So if you'd like to check out the show flat with me, just reach out to me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to share more with you. Prices start from $3,000 per square feet, and this is probably deceiving because if you take a look at the picture over here, you can see that the large 4 bedrooms actually start from $4,000 per square feet. So all in all, I think the average would probably be around $3,600 per square feet, which is still good because considering the competition in the area, we have new developments like One Marina Gardens and also W Residences transacting at $2,900 to about $3,600 per square feet respectively, and mind you, they are 99-year developments. What's so special is, of course, Newport is a freehold development, it is at the Greater Southern Waterfront, and it has the MRT. This is kind of like the holy trinity of factors that people want. Singaporeans, freehold lovers, they would really want a project like this. So I won't be surprised if somebody is going to spend about $4,200 for some of the top floor units for the 4-bedroom layout. And because of that, it is not for everyone. The negatives also includes that there are some layouts that are odd shaped, and the resale performance ultimately in this area is still not one of the best. Hence, all in all, I do recognize this as a freehold gem, but I do expect also a longer holding period. So Greater Southern Waterfront, you do have some time for it to actually come to fruition, and I rate this property a B+. And sticking to the CCR, previewing on the 20th of February, this is the 4th installment in the Rivelle area. This is River Modern by Google Land. River Valley has seen a surge in supply over the past few years, and the numbers have just increased because River Valley Green Parcel C, which is a plot just behind River Modern, has now been confirmed on the first half 2026 government land sales list. I expect a total of 3,133 units in this current new launch wave. And for River Modern, I think on paper it is definitely the best plot over here because this is the only plot that overlooks and fronts the entire Singapore River. And that has also translated to it being the most expensive land bid cost. 455 units, that's good. You have the standard MRT and schools as with all the River Valley property new launches so far. And you also have a lot of amenities around you. Based on the launch performance of the previous projects, it's easy to imagine that this is going to be selling at about 75% on launch day, despite the higher sticker price. So all positives here for River Modern, but I do think that it is not going to be perfect. And also to factor in the potential oversupply, I rate it an A+. There are still units left at Promenade Peak, Zion Grand and Robertson Opus that I think are pretty good. So if you would like to understand more about the whole area, you can check out my video I left in the link above. This is my ultimate guide to River Valley properties. Moving to the east, and we have another EC in 2026. This is Rivelle at Tampines. And mark my words, this is going to be the most expensive EC ever. Prices are going to exceed that mental barrier of $2,000 per square feet. Developed by Simlian, it has 560 units, which is a good size. And what's really rare for an EC is that you are actually walking distance 400 plus meters away from Tampines West MRT. Now, apart from the MRT, there's also going to be the future mall at Pinery Residences, which we'll talk about next. So just to give us that boost of amenities that you will really need. Plus, we are also within 1 km of very good schools. You have St. Hilda's, which is a very popular choice. And of course, we know how strong Tampines resale performance is. There's going to be a very healthy and sustainable pool of HDB upgraders who will want such condos in the future. So while it's going to be the most expensive EC ever, it does tick whatever box we want to tick, and I rate it an A+. And moving on to the next door neighbor at Tampines West MRT, this is the integrated development called Pinery Residences, and it's slated to preview around the end of March. For Pinery Residences, there's going to be a commercial element of about 10,000 square meters. And for reference, just recently at Tampines North, Parktown Residences, also at a commercial space, it was slightly bigger at about 14,000 square meters. However, because Pinery, you do have fewer units. So I think all in all, the resident to kind of like the amenities or the commercial ratio is going to be slightly better over here. And since Parktown has already transacted at an average of about $2,369 per square feet, I see no reason why Hoi Hak or Sunway would actually launch at an average of anything lower than $2,400 per square feet. It should be higher. And considering that this is a more established part of Tampines, there's also better schools and connectivity. A lot of positives as previously mentioned already in the Rivelle EC analysis, but what I really like about this area is its lack of competition, and Pinery is the only condo that is linked to an MRT after Parktown Residences. Hence, I do expect very strong organic demand for a property like this, and Pinery Residences is one of my top picks of 2026 and it gets an S rank. Sticking to the east, and this is one you probably hear until sian already. Wow, Bayshore, next time, new benchmark price $2,800 per square feet. You might as well buy CCR now, right? So the time has finally come for Bayshore to launch, and most people would think that $2,800 per square feet is expensive. I actually think that it is going to be one of the cheapest new launches in 2026. Let me prove it to you with some math. If you take a look at these calculations over here, Costa del Sol, just across the road, is currently transacting at about $1,900 to $2,100 per square feet. So let's take the middle, averaging at about $2,000 per square feet. And mind you, this is also a 99-year development. So if we adjust for the harmonization, plus that age gap of about 26 years, we arrive at a PSF premium per year of just $26.90 compared to the new launch Bayshore. So this is by far one of the cheapest price gaps that I've encountered. Do stay tuned for my full depth analysis video where I'll cover all the other resale comparables to truly determine whether Bayshore Residences is cheap or expensive. Back to the fact sheet, this is a popular plot. There were 8 bids and Sing.ie won the bid by just 0.8%. So you can't say that they didn't get a competitive price over here. So what stands out is that this is going to be the first and also the closest plot to Bayshore MRT. You can see right in front of us on the right side of this map, there are many empty plots left for government land sales. And you're also within 1 km of the popular Temasek Primary. So long-term wise, I think that Bayshore will definitely also benefit from other transformations. You have the Long Island transformations and also HDB upgraders despite their longer MOP period. So ultimately, this is a highly desirable location. You have aspirational Singaporean buyers, a constant flow of Singaporean demand, and also very nice sea view. This is going to be one of the top properties in 2026 and I give it an S rank. Moving on to late March this year, we have the first RCR launch. This is Medial Circle Parcel 8. Now developed by Qingjian M4C, this will be about 325 unit development. Same developer as Bloomsbury, which is already currently 75% sold at an average PSF of $2,507 per square feet. The actual unit sales at Bloomsbury is actually pretty good, but the government land sales in the area has been pretty bad. So is this still a good buy? I think the game changer that made Bloomsbury from a struggling project of less than 30% sales to about 75% sold today is because of the URA master plan to transform the Dover Medway area. In just phase 1 alone, there will be about 6,000 new public housing in that area, and then the Medial Circle area would then be your private housing enclave area. So while the location might not be for everyone, you do have a lack of MRT, a lack of immediate amenities, and also a lack of schools. I think that there is still a long-term growth story over here. The developers also got the land cheap and will likely price it sensibly, making this plot a very good long-term value buy. And it has to be a long holding period because this transformation would take a while. The exit strategy as a result is affected here, and I rate this a B rank. Moving further west, and now we are around April of 2026, the preview would probably start for Tengah Garden Residences. This will be developed by the reputable Hong Leong, Guko Land, and CSE Land, and this is going to be the first private condo in the Tengah estate. So far, they have all been only ECs. So the USP is not only that, but it is also the only condo that will be directly next to MRT. In this case, it will be Hong Kah MRT. There's also going to be commercial on the first story. It is not the biggest, only about 3,000 square meters, kind of like comparable to Poise Center if you're familiar with that one. And the key positive here for me is how clear the exit strategy is going to be. By the time your seller stamp duty is up in 4 years' time, there's roughly 14,000 HDB units that would have already reached their MOP, giving you this identifiable huge pool of ready HDB upgraders. And in terms of pricing, Corporate Grand, the EC has already hit $1,700 per square feet. So this being about $2,100 per square feet for being nearer to the MRT, it's a larger condo and it is harmonized. I think that this is a good entry price. Hence, I see a lot of positives over here, but I do have to lower the score a little bit because the new ACS campus falls outside of the 1 km radius, and ultimately this whole area resale transactions are not proven yet, so Tengah Garden Residences gets an A rank. Moving on to late April and another Lentor project. This is going to be the 6th project in a short span of 4 years. This is Lentor Garden Residences. The plot this time is going to be kind of like the bottom left surrounding the Hillock Park, so south-facing units will get nice unblocked landed views. As of this recording, almost all units in Lentor are sold. There are only 9 at Hillock Green and 27 at Lentoria left. So Lentor Modern has also just TOP. The mall looks very impressive, do check it out. And there's already resale transactions hitting above $2,500 per square feet. I know there will still be people saying, this plot sure still oversupply, nobody want to buy lah. But jokes aside, the data does not lie, and I think we all owe Lentor some form of apology because despite all the news, the doom and gloom, the fears of oversupply, it has definitely transformed into a very attractive new township, and the resale transactions hitting $2,500 per square feet is testament to that. If you're keen to deep dive further into Lentor new launches, you can check out my ultimate guide to Lentor properties somewhere in the link above. Now, Lentor Gardens, they share very similar attributes to their neighbours, but it does lack that 1 km to St. Nicholas Girls' School, which only Lentor Mansion, Lentor Hills and Lentoria have. So all in all, it's a decent project, and it is now in the new proven Lentor Township, and I give it a B+ rank. And finally, to the one and only RCR mega development next to the MRT launching this year. This is the former Thomson View, and is expected to launch around the end of the second quarter this year. This is going to be developed by 3 very reputable developers, UOL, Singapore Land and Capital Land, and being a mega development, it has 1,240 units, which also makes it the largest development in the entire Upper Thomson area. And with the size, of course, we have the usual benefits, so lower maintenance fees, better facilities, better landscaping, and hopefully a better variety of layouts. If you know the resale data and the resale transactions in the area, 4 and 5 bedrooms large units are in huge undersupply in the Thomson area. So definitely these are the units to get. Very easy exit strategy in the future. And interestingly, in the first half of 2026, there's going to be a government land sales at Lorong Putong, directly opposite Ai Tong School. But it's only a small development, just 140 units, and I don't think that it's going to be competition for Thomson View. Apart from the size, the location also boasts good amenities. You have Thomson Plaza, and of course, you are 1 km to the very popular Ai Tong School. It has been about 8 years since a last launch over there, and even then, the land plots back then weren't the biggest. So this ticks all the boxes, and I have to disclaimer here first. I am a little bit biased because this is a property that I'm looking to buy myself. Thomson View is definitely one of the top picks of 2026, and I rate it an S rank. When it comes to buying a new launch, everybody would just think, just put a check, so easy, right? But no, there's so many things that you need to consider. What is the right price for the right facing, the right stack, the right layout, the right floor? All these things come in different pricing, which will only be released by the developer on the launch day. So in order to help my clients, I've created the launch day game plan guide over here. And what it does is to prep all my clients and to be very, very clear and objective and not be swayed by emotions on the day to choose the right unit for them. But more importantly, you need someone with the knowledge, a good grasp of numbers, a steady mind, and also backed by 7 years of new launch experience to be in the queue with you and guide you through every single step of the way. So if you think that we are a good fit together and like what you've seen so far, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to share more with you. From one mega development to another, this time round is in the OCR. This is the Chuan Grove GLS. This is a plot that sits in between New Tech Park as well as that row of international schools, and previews are expected to be around the third quarter of this year. Now, what's so interesting about this plot is because initially they were two separate plots, but then the developer Sing Holdings and Sunway, they won both plots, and now they're actually applying to combine these two plots together. So it's actually good news. The amalgamation would actually give us a lot of synergies in design. For the developer, instead of building two separate pools, you can build one massive pool. So you can combine facilities, have a nicer, bigger clubhouse. There's also going to be cost efficiencies. Hopefully, it will be passed on to consumers. And then ultimately, as with all mega developments, the larger skies gives you possibly better landscaping and possibly better layouts. And another reason why I really like Chuan Park back then and then now this new Chuan Grove plot is that if you actually zoom out on the map, you realize that we are actually geographically sandwiched between two huge clusters of BTOs. We have the Bishan cluster as well as the Bidadari cluster. And these two huge clusters are, of course, your cash-rich HDB upgraders. So two massively profitable groups of buyers, they would definitely envision upgrading to this area. Chuan Park is now 89% sold at an average price of about $2,594 per square feet. So this new plot being harmonized, I do think that pricing will be around $2,750 to $2,800 per square feet on average. So before that happens, you can actually still secure units at Chuan Park because it is actually directly next to MRT, it's even closer to the MRT, and at around $2,600 per square feet, there are still units, and 4 bedrooms, there are units starting from as low as $2,520 per square feet. All in all, Chuan Grove ticks the boxes, and I rank it an A for now, with room for an upgrade subject to the price. Another OCR property launching around the third quarter of this year. This is for the Westies out there. This is Lakeside Drive. Developed by CDL, this is going to be a mixed development, and the key draw here is apart from the MRT, you're also within 1 km of a very popular school such as Rulang. Probably the only downside I see here location-wise is that for the longest time, this area doesn't have a normal shopping mall. Now nearby, we have other new launches that are still in the market. Lake Garden is 91% sold at an average of about $2,169 per square feet. Sora, 46% sold at $2,207 per square feet. So these plots are not near the MRT and they are also not harmonized. So hence I think Lakeside, they won't be cheap by this metric. It's going to be probably averaging at about $2,450 per square feet. So lots of positives over here, but I think minus a little bit of points because of the high level of competition in the future, and I give Lakeside Drive an A+ rank. And ending off the third quarter of launches with a CCR property along Dunearn Road. This is developed by Frasers, Sekisui and CSE Land. Now there's going to be 380 units, not the biggest but still fairly decent size. You also get that walking distance to the MRT and also within 1 km of the very popular Methodist Girls' School. The upside potential comes from the massive transformation that we see happening here at Turf City, slated to have about 15,000 to 20,000 private and public housing. So this Dunearn Road plot is certainly the first mover in this new area, and I think that what makes this area particularly special is, ask yourself this, right? When was the last time you remember like government actually revamping and rebuilding a new town in the CCR prime location? So just be mindful over here, this is a first mover kind of property, but it might also be a disadvantage because Turf City's transformation is still decades away. Ultimately, I think that this is a rare chance still for aspirational Singapore buyers, kind of get your low entry new launch property in a prime Bukit Timah area, and I rate this an A rank. And whew, that's a really long list. Thank you for sticking with me to the end, going through all 14 new launches that are happening from the beginning of this year until about the third quarter. We still have part 2 in our series where I'll cover the rest of the new launches happening around the end of this year. Some might also eat into 2027. All in all, I think that 2026 is going to be a year of several hits but also some misses. Initial analysis aside, there's a lot of other things to consider, and this slide just shows my price analysis because ultimately, however good a development might be based on its attributes, the most important is to your entry price and exit strategy. Don't forget that the developers always market the properties very nicely, beautiful renders, amazing show flat, smells nice as well. But have you ever asked yourself what is your exit strategy? Because I have, and I'm able to tell you straight up whether the math adds up or not. So if you like what you see, don't be shy, reach out to me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to share more with you. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for part 2 of our ultimate guide to new launches. I'll see you there.